I've been here for a year. Not gonna lie, there has been some cultural differences.
We need to give each other time for us to adapt to each other's cultures.
We don't smile at strangers. You smile to the people you know.
That smiling thing is really interesting because it's really relevant to Korean culture, because in Korea people don't smile to each other if they don't know each other.
In South Africa, you walk past, you greet people. Like, you don't just go, you're like, hey, hello, how are you?
In my culture, it is expected that when you see someone, it doesn't really matter if you know the person or not, you should greet the person. That could involve a handshake or simply hi. And well, sometimes it seems off to some people because they're like, hey, that's a total stranger. But the truth is, we're all connected by a nexus of 6 people, so no one is truly a stranger.
From where I'm coming from, I think the hidden curriculum is making time for people anytime. A Ghanaian can be late and they are running to class, they can bump into a friend and they will start chatting. And for a minute, they might forget that they have a class that is due. And so I think they value that personal relationships, and they also show regard, like greeting people, saying hi, they like it a lot.
In my culture, when you enter a room, you greet. And something that I had to teach people who are from here, that when you see me, the first thing you say, you greet before you ask me whatever you want help with. And that's one thing that sometimes it takes people by shock, because they'll say what they want me to do and then I'll bring them back to greetings. Hi, how are you? How have you been?
South Africans are just a lot more social or sociable in that way. Maybe it's because we're more of a collectivist society versus a very kind of independent, individualistic society that is present here. And so I think that that's really interesting, the greetings. Like, even when I first came here, I would go to, like, I don't know, like a fast food place or a restaurant, and I'd always be like, hello, how are you? And people would be like, hi, what can I get you? Like, there's this like weird, like, why are you asking how I am? Like, you don't really care. And it's like, but I do.
When I came to the US for the first time, I found that greetings differ a lot from where I'm from versus here in the US. When I crossed by some people, I say, hey, and hey, sup, and then just like, they're gone, right? Like, I was standing and then I just like was prepared to catch up and stand for a 5-minute talk. And that person just like.
In Ukraine, when you ask how are you doing, those things are only asked by your friends, close friends, your family, and they actually expect you to tell how they're doing. So if you don't feel well, you say like, oh, my day was bad, and you're just being honest. But here in the US, it's like, oh, how are you? How do you do? And it's kind of, and everyone's like, oh, okay, I'm fine. So it's more like introductory question rather than deep question.
When you have a guest in your home and ask like, hey, would you like a coffee? The first thing they will say like, no, I don't want, don't bother, we will just sit. And then after spending time in America, no means no. And I'm like, okay, if you don't want, I'm not gonna like keep asking. And I'm going back to Turkey and I do the same thing. And they're like, you're so rude, you need to ask 3 times. My mom will be like, why do you not ask more? I'm like, because they say no. So no doesn't mean no in my culture. 3 times you need to say no, and then it will mean no. That's how different the cultures are in a short story.
If we talk about Pakistan, it is like we have more support at family level, because mostly we have joint families. Like parents, grandparents, uncle, aunties, everyone is living together. So if I talk about me being as a mother, I had more support in terms of people at my home.
One very cool thing in Ghana is that we help elderly people a lot. When we see like an elderly person carrying something or holding something you think it's heavy, you would want to run to help. If you are seated and an elderly person walks in, you would want to stand up for the elderly person to sit.
The respect for elders is really very high and everyone will find it obligatory upon him or herself to really take care of elders, whether they're your parents or not. Parents invest in us for us to reinvest back in them, which is very, very important. And then when I came here, I was puzzled to see some old women working. To me, in my country back home, and of course in other parts of Africa, especially in Ghana, Nigeria, and so, when your mom is about 50, 60, you take care of your mom. We're not fond of seeing elders carrying heavy weight without helping them. So with my professors here, they find it some kind of weird for me to hold their bags also, but this is something that is embedded in us. This is how we were raised.
In terms of academics, you know, back home there's like a hierarchy of respect. And no matter who the person is, if they're your elder, they're always like a Mr. or a doctor, you know, depending on what situation you're in. And so for me, when I came here, it was so weird to see people calling professors by their names, like first names or like by nicknames. And they'll be like, no, 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 please call me this. To this day, I still cannot be like, hey, what's up, Woody? Hey, how's it going, Coop? How you doing, Karen? I'm always like, Dr. Riggs, Dr. Cooper, Dr. whoever, because like in my mind, I'm like, there is no way, like I cannot, like no matter how much you tell me that I can just casually greet you, it is just outside of my capabilities.
When the professor comes to the class, we stand up. It was like this in school, it was like this at the university, so it's usually how it works. You kind of like say hello to a professor in this way. I think also like the interaction between for instance, people from like administration or people from the university in general is very distinct from here in the US. Here you still feel like a part of the community, although like the person works in administration. But if you know the person, you can talk with this person. In Ukraine, it's not like that. There's very like a big distinction between a student and the person who works in some center in administration, in the dean's office. And this is something that I feel that is interesting in the US, and I personally like it. I think it's people are more approachable in this way, and it's a great thing.
One of the challenges, I would say, especially for a student who's coming here for a master's or a PhD, would be to get themselves out of that mentality that if your professor says something, that is like the final straw. Your professors might be wrong. And if you feel that there's something wrong, you can talk to the professors.
I started talking to professors more, to like a friend, like we can talk, discuss something, and back home it wasn't like this. It was like a big distance between me and my professors. But here it's more like usual stuff, like yeah, we can call each other by name, and yeah, it was impossible back home. I would never do that. It would be so impolite and disrespectful.
We have another culture that is like, it is not written. That is like not looking at elders in the eye. And I think a lot of us now find it difficult to talk to our professors looking directly into their eyes. And I have read that like for you to gain someone's trust in the US here, you're talking to the person, you really have to look into the person's eye, which means like you are not lying or you are not hiding anything. That is different from our culture.
In our culture, we are very habitual of touching feet from our elders, and that is considered respect. Here, if I go to an American professor and touch their feet, they will be very confused.
Here, people, at least my professor, really respects when I say I don't want work, or I need a mental health break, or I'm feeling really overwhelmed or anxious, which I really appreciate, because I do feel anxious sometimes and it's difficult. The other thing I also felt is here I think people are more understanding of certain situations that can be a little delicate. And also people stand up for you if it's in need. I've always found, at least in this university, that if I had issues, I go to someone and they always show me the right path.
You will find that Americans are very, very formal. In our culture, if you are very formal and you are trying to be my friend, I don't feel that friendship. For me, it'll always be a surface level friendship because the language of friendship is roasting. You can call names, you can roast each other. And the deeper your friendship is, the more comfortable you are. And that also includes being vulnerable and being there. So if I have a very close friend and let's say he or she needs money or food, that's very normal for us.
The other thing is the way people interact. I don't want to call it the dating culture, but then the way people interact with themselves. So for instance, in many contexts or in many scenarios in Nigeria, I could send you a message and like, hey, do you mind if we hang out? Right? And I don't necessarily mean it to be me asking you out on a date. I'm just like, hey, let's just hang out. Let's just go grab pizza, or I never ask people, let's go take coffee. So when I go here, ask me, hey, you mind coffee? But then in many cases, some people here understand that to be you asking them out on a date.
A recommendation that I like to give to anybody coming from anywhere else around the world, reach out to IFI. They offer a lot of help. I practiced my driving with them and I got my license. And also they offer rides from the airport. If I had known that they can give me a ride from the airport, I wouldn't have spent the night on my first day in Athens in the airport. Also, reach out to ISSS. They help a lot.
This is also for the incoming TA students. When you're in a classroom, don't share anybody's progress with anyone else. So they treat the students very individually here. That does not happen over there. Over there, your results are basically just out on a notice board. So if you fail, everybody knows that you're failing.
One quick recommendation, we should travel by the book. We should really build a culture of reading, investigating, asking questions, trying to understand. In this way, we will really be able to understand and to know what cultures are and how different we are, so that we can embrace and accept each other as one humanity, because we are all here together.